another one.
This says, what should I know how to do before going into my first tester role? I am seeking a manual software job, and this would be my first IT job. I have the ISTQB Foundation certificate, which has taught me a lot. I mean, a lot of terminology and concepts, but nothing practical, really. And sidebar, Your Honor, I see that a lot. I'll ask, like, when I'm, working with some people, and I'll ask them a practical question, and they start, regurgitating a bunch of conceptual stuff, and they just go and go and go. It's like a book, right? And they're just spitting it out, just letting it out. That's how it sounds like to me, right? And then once they get done with their soliloquy, I'm like, okay, so how would you do it? Well, I would go here and then I'll do this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but you left out like 5 different things to look into and this and that, and I'm like, so you, my friend, are correct. The you might have a lot of terminology and concepts. You can probably write a whole book on it, but I do understand when you say you have nothing practical. Okay, so let's so he continues. I've been learning SQL queries as well as Selenium automation, testing, and Python in my spare time. I can also write basic test cases on Excel for black box tests. My question is, ideally, what techniques, tools, anything should I really already know how to do before being hired for a manual tester role? I'm pretty apprehensive about applying and interviews as I'm worried I won't know enough. So that is actually a amazing question. Let me get Dawn off the screen. That's an amazing question, right? And I like that you are asking early and taking initiative. Let's see, one more thing. All right. So I would say this, right? So let's go in order, right? Let's put the 5 minutes up. What you need to, the tools that you need to learn, right? I mean, you pretty much mentioned it, right? But I would say it's not necessarily about tools that you need to learn, as opposed to number one, you need to develop your critical thinking skills, right? From the ISTQB Foundation certificate stuff, right? That you have the terminology. I can't, like, they be throwing out these big complicated words, and I'm like, look, my vocabulary does not go that deep. So can you dumb it down a little bit for me, right? And then once they dumb it down, they can't actually answer the question. So and here's the funny thing, right? If I'm interviewing somebody and that's like they start rambling off with that answer, I immediately be like, all right, when are I'm like, all right, are you done yet? Because I want the answer that is going to help the company, not the one that's going to make you sound intelligent because you're using a bunch of big words. So with that being said, I would start working on your QA portfolio, right? Oh, tech coach Ralph, what is a QA portfolio? Well, you should go and look up the video for how to build your own QA portfolio. And in that, when we were doing that, we used Docker to install a test case management system called Kiwi test case management system. And in that, then we went in there, we wrote some test cases, right? We created some defects, and we did it on real websites. It's not like these practice websites where you you know, it's like some item in the cart called green jacket, right? No, what we did was, for example, we went to ASOS.com, a e-commerce clothing site, and we navigated through the site. We wrote a test case on how to do the checkout, how to do the like how to check out as a registered user, how to check out as a new user, how to check out as a user who's creating an account for the first time. Just different things to stimulate your mind, how to write these test cases, and then if there's like chances are you're not going to find a bug on the site, right? But you just make up a bug and how you'd report it. Show the people who you're looking to interview you how you'd write it, how you'd write your bug reports, all that stuff, right? Very important. To me, I think like if I'm interviewing somebody and they say, and I ask them like, oh, so like, how do you continue to learn and everything like that? It says, oh well, I see that you don't have that much experience. You're just getting into it. How are you learning all this stuff? And he says, oh, this is how I'm doing it. I'm subscribed to Tech Coach Ralph. I'll definitely like eyes would open wide, like, oh, you are okay. That sounds amazing. But it says, and he had me build a portfolio. I'm like, oh, really? Can I see your portfolio? And then they show me their screen and they log into. They start up Docker. I'm like, oh wow, Docker as an entry level. That's impressive, right? If I see Docker on your resume, I'm going to ask you about it, especially if you don't have that much experience. I'm going to ask you like, okay, tell me about how do you know Docker? And he says, oh yeah, well, Tech Coach Ralph encourages us to try out these new technologies. So I went ahead and I got installed Docker, and then I installed test case the Kiwi software through it, and then I created these test cases, these test plans. I created these defects. I executed the tests. I automated it. I'm like, oh wow, that is very impressive. You are showing great initiative. And they say, oh yeah, take a look at my my code, right? My automation code. And if you were in the Patreon and you submitted it to Tech Coach Ralph to review for you, right, to do a code review for you, where he would show you how to create a pull request on GitHub, and you can submit it, and then on the live show he would be reviewing it for you, giving you feedback, right? And then so now when you go to show your code, it looks amazing, right? And like, wow, you're doing this and you don't really have much experience yet. Like, yeah, but I know that projects is another way to get experience. So I've created all these projects, and I'm ready to. And then if I was working with Tech Coach Ralph, then he would put me in an environment to work as if I'm actually working in a real job, right? So then I would have my oh, too much. All right, gotta save that information, right? So if you want the rest, you're gonna have to join the Patreon, because I will set you up on a path for success. Because everywhere that you're getting your information from, right, it's not giving you all the full details, right? Because they don't have the capacity, right? They're cycling new students in and out, right? And then the Udemy courses, for example, Coursera courses, they're very focused on the topic that they're trying to teach you. So, and to me, that helps me a lot, because now while they're focusing on the specific details of what you need to learn to do a particular job, I'm getting you work ready, right? I get you work ready. They give you the skills to actually be able to do the job. I prepare you for how to work on your team, how to add value. My number one goal, adding value, right? So if you're not adding value, then, if you don't know how to structure your resume and you're not getting any contact, that's on you. If you're fumbling in the interview, that's on you. Like, you're lucky to even get contacted for an interview. But if you don't know how to handle an interview, right, you're not prepared for it, then that's on you. All right. So now for the last part where you asked about applying, right? I would say make sure your resume is decent, right? And then start applying, because from the time that you're ready to work, and I remember this conversation, right? Had to be like, how old am I now? Had to be like 18 years ago, right? Somebody that I was doesn't matter who they are, right? But they had got fired from their job, and they said, oh, I said, like, so what are you gonna do? And they said, oh, so and so told me I should take some time off before going, like take a month off before going for another job. And I'm like, take a month off. Like, how can you afford to take a month off? Like, we're like, and what do you got to do? We're like 20 years old. You know, like, what do you got to do? Like, that didn't make any sense to me. We were all broke at the time, but people can afford to take time off. I don't know. Anyways, but that was then, and so the point is, like, but then yeah, when they were actually after their month off, it took them another like 3 to 4 months to actually find a job, right? So so the moral of the story is get your resume right, start applying now. Just apply, like, and let's say you're not like you need to fail in your interviews, right? You need to see all those rejection letters that you're going to be getting, but it's better to get them now. And then when you actually do get an interview, and then you get like you do a terrible job in the interview, right? Because we all do terrible jobs in some interviews, right? But we need to build that practice. We need to build that confidence. So start applying now. Fail forward. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail again. You're gonna fail again. But you just need one person to say yes, right? And you never know. What if on your first or second job you actually application, you get contacted and they like you and they say, oh, he's new. We're gonna work with him. We're looking for an entry level person, and they're gonna work with you. What gives, right? So get to it now. Don't wait. Don't waste your time. Start applying now, and you never know what might happen. All right. So shout out to that question.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.
Enigmatic Joker.